Well, Jim, a difficult game today, and how hard is it to play against a team like Altrincham that just gets the lead and sits in?
Well, I don't. That's teams do that when they're winning. They know how to lock it up and know how to expand. And I thought that they were good at that, you know. And in all the previous games, I've seen that. Perhaps that's why the games have been quite tight results. You know, they'll expand when they've got good ball. Perhaps the pitch being a little bit stickier and heavier hasn't helped them play the type of football they want. But Phil's knows what he's doing, and he's got them organised. He's got them playing with the right shape out of possession or when they're winning. So he's respecting the league in that regard. And I thought they look a team that's going to get results because of that organisation and that willingness to stick to a script out of possession, and then know how to play and play to their qualities when they're in possession.
Are you disappointed though not to have got 3 points today? I mean, statistically you look at it and I think you've had 15 attempts, 15 corners. They've had no corners and 1 shot on target today.
Well, yeah, I'm disappointed with the nature of the goal because there was really poor recovery from Adam Thomas in particular. You know, because they've not done the short and the players broke from there, and there should be an appetite and a desire to keep a clean sheet that should run through the team, and we got a sense of danger, and we talked about that because we've seen in their games that they have great transition in most phases, because with Cisse and Kozlow they got good pace. So I was disappointed in the nature of the goal that we didn't show more appetite to recover, and left Sam a bit exposed. But yeah, no, statistically, you know, we're in a good place. I felt it would have been a travesty if we didn't get something out of the game. I don't think anybody could have argued if we had got a goal and got another goal, although they would have been really disappointed because the keepers had to make some great saves. They got some great blocks in, and I thought, unfortunately for us, our general crafting of opportunities from open play hasn't been great, and unfortunately the set plays weren't great, and you know, that people have to be able to deliver. It's a constant mantra of mine that without techniques there's no tactics. You can't have a goal kick, throw in, a corner, free kick unless people have got the technical stuff. You can arrange everybody, but so in that sense I was a little bit disappointed that technically some of the lads let us down on occasion, and then perhaps you need a stronger mentality then to recognise the pitch, the wind, the opposition, whatever it might be, and then correct yourself and then deliver the quality next time rather than deteriorate. And but I was pleased with the goal, and you know, I was pleased for Connor because I've been trying to get him, you know, a shape where we can find him in the better positions where he can connect the game and also be a threat at goal. And you know, I sort of, when we decided to be a little bit simpler on the tactics, I think people had to realise that most of the corners weren't getting put into the right areas. They were being fizzed in flat and low. So I asked Connor to go and do the little near post run, and great for him. Touch, again, the quality of the ball in, 3/4 of the finishes on it. Unfortunately, we've become a team that sort of is struggling to craft goals from open play, and we're looking like a team that really can, only when we're organised or all got the set plays, seem to be a real strong thing for us. And you know, but again, like I said, it's they're the positives out of the game. But we did create loads of opportunities. We've got both wingers into high positions. We've got both fullbacks into high positions. We've got lots of good quality crosses in. Although I think perhaps Mark in particular has to recognise that low hard crosses are probably more effective against the team when you've got the likes of Connor and Reedy, rather than putting balls in the air to the keeper and go. But look, again, this is where they're still learning, and they have to learn from. Perhaps they don't always understand what I'm explaining, and then when they see it and feel it, it comes, and then there's buy-in.
Were you about to bring Richie Bennett on when Connor scored? Was that in your mind?
Yeah, I felt that, you know, I was a bit concerned that we were perhaps, you know, I was hoarse through it. I mean, I've been lambasted by a lot of people about the kind of football, and I took the 9 out today. So to say to people, be brave and play. Use the +1, use the wingers, drop it in, use the space, you know. And we still play some scruffy football, when we could be braver and play. And I made this point after Hartlepool where we chuck it down the line. Even if he gets contact, you're playing to where they have the extra defender, they're hustling the ball off you, and then they're breaking on you. Whereas we need to be braver and play. And I was hoarse throughout the second half asking them to play, to get the centre-halves on it, get the midfielders on it, get the ball into midfield. And then at times then it's easy to see the front four. But I've been encouraging that all the way through. But sometimes players maybe in a certain environment or certain pressure or perhaps the pitch, they kind of go back into the shell and go back to what they've perhaps done on previous clubs and start shelling it and just playing fight ball. And I think we need to be braver. And I think that was one thing that I think you could see tonight, that the possession. I mean, the manager was quite complimentary, said that we outplayed him, and that's not always something that you get when you go to Altrincham or you play teams. And I think that we've got to learn how to play, but play effectively. And there's a lot that we've got to keep working on. And, but for me, I was pleased, if you like, the people that are worried about where we're at. They won't be pleased because they think that we haven't won for so many games. But for me, that was a step in the right direction. A couple of players back today, a strong shape that I identify with all the best players in those positions. The best 9 that we have at the club. Obviously 7, 10, 11. 2 midfielders that I think can do the dirty side, but can also play if you trust them. Back 4, you want them to be able to defend, but also to play. So I think we picked the right team. But to answer your question about Richie, I thought that if we weren't brave enough to keep playing, and especially if you're chasing a game, we've seen that so many times at Torquay and even Notts County, where we start rushing the game, and I thought this time we need to just keep our composure, keep our patience, keep probing effectively. But I felt that some of our players weren't responding, and they were going a little bit more direct and funneling the ball through the middle. But I was pleased with the goal, from the point of view that it kind of settled us down, and then we kept playing, and we looked like we could, possibly have got the winning goal, which would have been a great boost for everybody at the club.
You must be pleased with the response today, because I know you don't do a lot of social media, but you won't have missed some of the comments about player unrest. I mean, you're in that dressing room. What is it like in there? What is the mood in the camp at the moment?
Well, you're best to ask the players. I think some of the players have responded. Everybody knows what I'm about. 2 years ago, when we put that team together, we talked about, good players, good professionals, good people. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have that, but what we're looking at this stage now is for great players, great professionals, and great people. And unfortunately, no matter how much I talk about my standards and what my culture is and my philosophies of the game, people will revert to who they are at times of difficulty or strife. And we've seen that emerge in training. And I've had to have some strong management at times, and you can't always correct people. All you can do is shine a light about how it should be done and why it should be done that way and how it feels when it's done that way. But if they don't want to do that and they want to do it their way, then obviously it's, unfortunately it'll come at a cost to the team when you see, Bromley, a player, getting booked for dissent, which we haven't had for 5 years. The fair play awards in the boardroom, I've got several in thing, and because we don't do dissent, and then foul and abusive language. I mean, look, we're living in an age now where there's lots of stresses, but the one thing that we've started to respect, we started to respect nurses and even delivery drivers and bin men for the fact that they're unassuming people going about their job, and the last thing we want to do is that somebody who's innocently coming to work to do their job shouldn't be abused in such a way. And but like I said, I've done my work for 6 weeks to create the culture. If people decide to do other things, then I can't always change people. All I can do is look at the people that respond for the culture and the performance, and just keep trusting them, keep believing in them, and keep working with them, because that is what championship teams are built on.
It's a quick turnaround now, of course. Wrexham coming to Edgeley Park, and another team that's about to go through a high-profile takeover. And they're in a similar position to Stockport County in many ways, aren't they?
Obviously it's great news for them, because they're a club perhaps that they've had different successes in the last couple of years, but it's great news for them. But again, they just have to see how it plays out and what it means for obviously they want to protect their heritage and their tradition, and the new owners are talking all the right things in that regard, and the investment will come and the improvements will come, and they'll be a strong team over the coming years. I'm sure they're going to get better and better every year. The real challenge for us from a performance point of view is that they were due to play Macclesfield on the Boxing Day and the New Year's Day, so they're coming in fresh to Monday's game, which is a huge challenge of us. And Boxing Day is a brilliant day in football, and it was just so eerily quiet today. I've got some great memories. My first ever game was Boxing Day, and it's a great spirit. Unfortunately, we won't have the atmosphere to give our players a lift when they need it. But it's going to be a tough game because it's a quick turnaround for these lads. We've got a couple of players that look like they can add something from the bench, and so we may have to think about freshening up. But we'll be in tomorrow at Carrington, doing everything right, being as professional, being as positive, working really hard to understand what Wrexham about, understand where we might be weak, maybe from the lack of recovery, but we'll be ready to go again. And it was important we got something out of today's game because the whole world falls in. We didn't have that kind of pressure the year we were champions because we were still hybrid and we were kind of like in the chasing pack, but the Kidderminsters, the Southports and Yorks went into meltdown and started sacking managers and started changing squads and went nowhere, and still are struggling to recover from that. So what we have to be really, really important now is that we're all strong. Let the coach, let the players play, support, and the directors direct. And if we all do our jobs as best of our abilities, we're only going to go one way.
Fantastic, Jim. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.